Hey everybody, Wes with Fundamental Games. Today I'm bringing you to a Tabletop Simulator game preview. But it is a game that's already out. And the reason I'm talking about it today is they have an expansion or a sequel of sorts coming out soon, in which I'm sure they're going to be offering the base game again. Plus you could also buy the base game on their website. So this Tabletop Simulator version, just in full transparency, this was created by somebody other than the maker of the Kickstarter and the game itself, and is not recommended for download. But I do want to show you what I like about the game, and this is the easiest way to do that. So what do I like about Spire's End based on the games I've played and the visuals that are offered here? Well, first off, this is a game that actually is promoted as a 16 plus game. Most board games prefer to advertise the lowest age possible to hit the broadest age group. This one is actually moving in the opposite direction. It wants to make sure that its audience understands the age limitations. And the reasons for that is mainly due to the graphic nature of the game, both in verbiage and in visuals. If you look at some of the cards, like Fleshy Jam, you hear a soft hiss and your eyes begin to sting. You wake up in a metal container and, well, you can picture what happens next. Or the pin cushion, I won't even read the words. Or the, homecoming. Who knows what could happen to you in this game, but some of the visuals are quite, I guess, grotesque in a way, depending on what you think grotesque is and what's not. But I just like the way that it promotes itself as a 16 plus game in this card game. And these cards are in large size. I think they're double or more the size of standard poker cards, and even bigger than tarot cards. So it's neat to see those visuals up front in your face and the words big and understandable. So that's the first thing I like, is it can be brutal both visually and verbally when you read through some of the comments and storyline that this game presents. The second part ties into that, and that's with the art. It is a kind of black and white with gray tints and that red accent. I think the art style would be considered monochromatic plus accent, with the accent being red in this case. It gives me a little bit of that Sin City vibe that you may remember from those comics or the movie that they made about it. And the characters really just pop. That thick line art style, the kind of graphic novel-esque, leads yourself to enjoy the brutal theme without being overwhelmed by it. So I really like that, and the visuals that it presents on the enemy characters as well. So you'll see that throughout the deck. It's a fairly large deck, which includes the rules. The third thing I like is that it is a choose-your-own-adventure kind of game. So if you've ever played those books back in the 80s where you just have a die and a pen and a book, and you just roll and play your way through choices that you make, the same can be said of this game. But it's in the form of cards. And the cards also include all of the rules. All the rules are in a specific set of cards. I believe there are 11 cards that are basically the rule book. And there are then 7 cards which are the characters. And then the rest is the deck. And throughout this deck you'll be given options. Some of it may be determined by the roll of a die, but other ones may be determined by your choice. And maybe we can give you an example here. So card number 74, It Stares. And you could read through that. There's storyline behind it. But in the end, it asks you, what now? Are you growing tired of a monster that's bending your thoughts? Are you going to throw a knife through its giant pupil and watch it deflate? If you're going to do that, go and see card 76. But if you feel compelled to help the creature and want to free it, you're going to go to card 75. And I'm not going to reveal what's going to happen to you if you go to either of those cards, but the choices that you make matter, whether it's the first card or the 74th card. The choices you make may impact what enemies you end up fighting, may impact what equipment you end up getting to boost you, or what damage you get dealt, or what recovery you get, or whether you can beat the game at all, because some of your decisions may result in immediate death, and you'll know forevermore that that is the wrong decision to make. But I think it's cool that you have that choose your own adventure in this deck, and every time you play you might choose different paths to some extent with different characters. The fourth thing I like is the characters themselves. So if you look here, you have Sedani the Silversmith, you have Rangataki the Outsider, Leofric the Forester, Rolf the Killcrow, Dane the Rutterkin, Hildegard the Endrake, and Millicent, the Silk Weaver. You'll notice none of those cards say classic tropes that I'm quite prone to using, fighter, cleric, thief, whatever. They just have their own unique names to them. Maybe they grew up and developed these fighting styles and survival styles of their own. And each of them has their own independently named actions that could give them different benefits. Some of those benefits may be similar, but some may be very, very different. So I like that. And then they each have some special perks or benefits on the very bottom of their card, which are also different from one another. So those very unique characters and sets of skills that they have, some of them may work very well paired up with one another because you're generally playing with 2 characters at a time. And then as one perishes, you're allowed to replenish them to continue on through your journey until all of your characters are dead, or until you slay the Spire, as the game name suggests. So that's the 4th thing. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about is the combat system. So each one of the creatures that you fight, although they have a similar combat mechanism, they each have independent skills and abilities. In some cases, like the twin here, they get to roll their attack die twice, and they might hit you twice as a result of it. Or somebody like the Eye here may only have 4 abilities, but those abilities might be more potent, and they may have special rules that will give you more significant down effects upon you, permanent effects or temporary effects on your character. But each opponent that you face has different ways of fighting, and I think it's always fun when a game does that instead of just always having the same attack method time after time. So those different characters, and they all look great. You can tell when you're fighting an enemy because they have a black background instead of the traditional white background of your characters or the story guidelines of other cards. So that art style again presents itself in the enemies, the foes that you face, and the combat itself is actually dealt with through a deck of 24 smaller cards or tiles, and you shuffle those up, and the result of that result of some of those can affect what happens as well. So I think that's kind of neat. Like number 3 on the twins means that they're going to use the whistle feat, and then you still roll a die and see if you're successful or not. So I think it's a unique combination of what ability they're going to use tied with what they roll on their die, and then they also have a recoup mechanic on each card as well. Sometimes it's healing, sometimes it's mini globsplosion, who knows. So there you go. 5 things I like about Slay the Spire. This is a very unique game. It's got that build your or choose your own adventure, character, die rolling, opponent defeating, and decision making that can kill you type of vibe to it. So if you've never looked at it, check out their video and their game on Kickstarter from when they were launched. Check out their website now for the game that is available, and check out the game that they are launching in the future, which is based upon this character here, Hildegard, the Endrake. If you've played it and have some thoughts about Slay the Spire, by all means send some comments in the comment section here. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. And as always, thank you for watching my videos.